So this presentation talks about the initiatives taken by the government, central government, state government in establishing the cloud infrastructure in India. So we all know the initiatives of the NIC. NIC is a flagship company by the government of India, and they have done a lot in this area. So let's look at the very first work what they have done by the NIC. So this is a NIC portal. We can see here a national cloud, and the name of the cloud is a Meghraj cloud. So if you can have a closer look at it, it's a first homegrown indigenous cloud made in India by the NIC. And they are the government company, and they have invested a lot of money into the infrastructures, creating a Meghraj cloud for the Indian customers. Is the portal visible to all? NIC portal? Anyone can say quick
Yes,
yes or okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Now, if we scroll down this portal, and here we come to the services which is being offered by the NIC. So we can see here they get the power of NIC cloud services to host your websites, portal, and the web applications with the speed and scalability that your business demands. And now NIC cloud services offers a variety of service models to meet the requirement like PaaS, IaaS, and the SaaS. The तीनों models के लिए available है, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, and the software as a service. And here they provide the brief description of what all they offer. So if you can look at the software service, the basic one, it is a software delivery models wherein the users are not responsible for supporting the application or any other component. So they have got a limited liability as a user when they are using a software as a service model. They are just a recipient of the content. They cannot modify the content. They cannot alter the content. They cannot upload the new content. They will just, they are just the end users of it. Something like what we do in our ipu.ac.in model. For example, if you're a student, you go to this website ipu.ac.in. Now here, this is the website we have hosted on the cloud server of the NIC. Now here we are not expecting anything from the user because we are not doing any session tracking. We are not taking the ID and the password. So no, it's not a dynamic website. We are not prompting the user to enter any credentials, the login credentials. Neither we are doing any authentications, neither we are doing any associations. Nothing is being done. This is a perfect example of software as a service where website is being showcased to a customer, to the end user, and if he is interested, then he will stick onto the website and access the content from the portal. If he is not, he will move on to the other portal. So we're not charging anything from the customer. So we are not bounded to provide any. We will not bounded in the sense that the data which is being provided to him is very static in nature. So we are not taking any user ID and password from him. So we are not worried about his security, whether when he's coming our website is going to be hacked or not. So we are not establishing any secure socket layer. Neither we are doing any tunneling. Neither we are taking his IP addresses or MAC addresses. So we are not interested in all that. So the reason being that this site is being showcased as a software as a service. Now, if the particular student or a customer or a parent or any other stakeholder is interested in getting some information, for example, as a student, you might be interested in what are latest notices and website. So you click on this notice and circular, and you will get redirected to this site which is being designed in the PHP hypertext preprocessor, and these all multiple notices are listed here. Now, if at all you are interested in any particular notice, so you just click it over. Now, moment you click it over, a PDF file get displayed to you. So you can see this PDF file here on the address bar of the web browser. The PDF file is displayed, and if you are interested, you can download the PDF file on your machine. So the PDF file will get downloaded onto your machine. So all the files are being showcased as a hyperlink to the user. So just like a href tag. And moment you click on any particular file, the file get downloaded onto your system. But nowhere the university website is keeping your track. We are not creating the cookies. We are not sending the cookies for storage onto your machine. Neither we are doing any session tracking. Neither we are fetching the IP address and the MAC address of a customer. So it's all static website, which is being example of the software as a service. And we have hosted this website the IP University website, not on our own web servers at the Dwarka campus, but we have hosted it onto the cloud servers of the NIC, the Meghraj cloud servers of the NIC at the Shastri Park, which is in the East Delhi. So all your requests get redirected to the NIC servers, and from there you access the content from the website, and the PDF get downloaded onto your machine. So that's how it works. So NIC have done a lot of good work in Indian scenario, especially by providing this Meghraj cloud. Now let's say if you want to have much more larger role than the software as a service, and you say yes, you can write your own program in the PHP or advanced Java on C Sharp.net, Hibernate, Spring, then yes, you move towards the platform as a service. So this is the environment that provides the pre-installed web and database servers, and then you can publish and run the web application without worrying about the server setup. Why? How is this possible? Because NIC, they themselves have procured the servers, they have set up the server at their premises, and we as an end user can log into the NIC portal. They will provide the credentials to us, the login and the password, and then we can host our applications onto the Meghraj cloud services of the NIC. So servers they will provide, application is mine, and I'm going to host my application onto the cloud servers. But majority of the cloud service providers says that you need to check your application. Is your application free from vulnerabilities? Because that is something that need to be kept track of. Is it free from any bugs? If yes, then only they allow the hosting. Else, then you cannot host the application. So what do we need to do? We need to go to the site called Certain. Now let me show you that. Certain are something who are managing the all the security related operation on behalf of the government of India. So it's under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. It's called Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, and they try and keep a track of all the ransomwares, middlewares, bugs, defects, faults, whatever are being launched in India by various hackers. They keep a track of all those things. So this is a very good portal, certain.org, and if you can see them, it's operational since January 2004. The constituent of Certain is the Indian cyber community. Certain is the national nodal agency for corresponding to computer security incident and as and when they occur. And this is their functionality. This is what they have been mandated to do. So if I want to host my application onto the cloud service providers, I need to get my application verified for that my application is verified from any of the vendors which is being impaneled by the NIC. So NIC have listed almost 25 vendors in India. That includes the TCS, the Infosys, CDAC. And what I need to do, I need to submit my application, the web application to these companies. They will run the proprietary tools or the open source tools to test my application. Is my application free from the defects, fault and errors or any from the vulnerabilities? Something what we call VAPT. They will do the VAPT analysis, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. If my application is free from all these things, there are no more bugs inside it, it's free from any possible attacks, then yes, they will give me safe to host certificate, what we call STH, safe to host certificate. And if there are no more bugs inside it, everything is fine and well, there are no more issues inside it, then immediately they will give me a safe to host certificate, and then I can take the certificate to my cloud service provider, and then they are going to host my application onto the cloud on their servers as such. So are we able to see this Certain portal? Is it visible to us? Yes or no by anyone?
No sir, PDF show हो रही है.
Okay, then let me do stop sharing and then reshare the screen. Is it visible now? Certain?
Yes sir.
Okay, fine. So they take a lot of initiative in doing these things because all the cloud services in India are being managed and controlled by CERT-In and the NIC. We are not talking of private companies. We are not talking of any private service vendors. We are talking of the government of India's environment. So here, the certain Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, they on behalf of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, along with the NIC, they monitor and manage all the cloud service operations in India. So they are a very good company in that sense, and they keep a track of all the vulnerabilities. Now, when we talk of the vulnerabilities, that what they are going to check. So we go to the OWASP, Open Web Access Security Project. And now this is the OWASP. They keep on identifying what are the possible set of the vulnerabilities existing in the Indian sites. We are only talking about the Indian site right now. So there are many vulnerabilities they have identified, like SQL injection, broken authentication, sensitive data exposure, XML external entities, broken access control, secure misconfiguration, cross-site scripting attacks, insecure deserialization attack, using component with the known vulnerabilities, insufficient logging and monitoring. They got identified in 2017, and now they have come up with the 2021 possible set of the security risk to the applications which are going to be hosted as a part of the platform as a service or as an infrastructure as a service environment. So these are all the vulnerability. We'll discuss them separately later on, but just to get an idea that the OS work in this area, and they keep on coming up with the possible set of the threats, attacks, and vulnerabilities, and they keep on posing the security risk to the application. And almost all the cloud service provider works in close coordination with the NIC and the CERT-In to keep a track of it, that what are the latest vulnerabilities getting reported, so they keep on improving their work profile. Coming back to the NIC portal, and then from the platform as a service, move on to the infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service talks of everything: your primary storage area, your secondary storage area, memories, hard disks, virtual machines, routers, switches, gateways, everything which is the hardware and the software. So I can say the software as a service is a basic model. Platform as a service includes the SAS, and infrastructure as a service includes both the platform as a service and the software as a service. This is a superset. This is a subset of the IaaS, and SAS is a microset. Very minute, very limited services are available in software as a service. Now, these are the other services which the NIC provides today, like the storage as a service, load balancer, remote monitoring, resource monitoring as a service, vulnerability assessment as a service, backup services, application performance management as a services, then data analytics, the AI, deep learning, machine learning. They've got multiple number of the analytic engine with the help of which you can do the computation, then agile methodology, load testing, artificial intelligence as a service. So you need not purchase any software or the servers at your end. You can just take the services from the NIC portal, and then at a remote location you can access these services and use them at your own will, the way you want them, and then accordingly you pay them, maybe per month basis or per year basis. Now if I want to pay them, how do I pay? So we go to a calculator called NIC calculator, NIC cloud cost calculator. Is this calculator visible on our port machines? Are we able to see on Cisco WebEx platform?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you can look at the top here. This is by the NIC Government of India, and this is a cost calculator. And all the cloud resource cost has been revised with effect from 1st September 2020. And please contact support team for further details. So we are not doing any registration right now. What, as an end user, I am more interested that what is the cost I have to pay for using, right? So first of all, they prompt me that what is the service type. So computing services or software services. Now, if you're going for a software as a service model, then you choose the software services. If you're going to the platform as a service and the infrastructure as a service model, choose the computing services. So it depends upon you, what you would like to choose. So let's choose the default one, the computing services, which they are showing. Then hypervisor is a way we do a virtualization in a cloud computing environment. how to set up a virtual machine, how to set up the instance of the virtual machine. That we'll discuss later on, but don't worry about it. So we got the hypervisor type. So they prompt us. There are two kind of hypervisor available. One is for the proprietary software, one is for the open source software. So let's choose for the open source so that our cost can be minimized. Then they ask what is the type of resource we are looking forward. The virtual machine, additional storage areas, virtual CPUs, and the additional RAM. So we say we don't want anything additional. So we choose it by default. Now at this point of time, one thing what we can be very simply understand it, just like we got a physical machine, on the same way we got a virtual machine. Physical machine is one and only one. I cannot create multiple threads, multiple instances of the physical machine. Physical machine can only provide to only one user at a time. But what if I want to provide access of that single physical machine to more than one user? How I can do it? The answer comes in the virtual machine. Virtual machine is just a mimic or a replica of a physical machine. Physical machine is binded or associated with only one user at a time. But in the virtual machine, I can have many users who will be connected to a single machine, and they'll be accessing the data or the content or the storage area of the physical machine as if they were connected in only one and one environment. They will not come to know. They will not come to know, yes, there are other users also accessing the content from the same machine. They will not never ever come to know. But reality, this will happen. So in the cloud service provider, what will the cloud service provider do? They will create multiple instances of the RAMs, the hard disk, the CPUs, the storage areas, the printers, the routers, the switches, and the gateways. And since all these instances are logical in nature, they can be provided to many number of the clients directly at one go. So the primary difference between the physical machine, virtual machine is physical machine only one user can access at a time. Virtual machine many users can access at a time. And virtual machines are nothing but they are the logical instances or the threads of the physical machine. So you create instances from the physical machine. For example, if you got the Windows operating system, which is network based operating system, so I can create 10 threads out of it, and 10 users can simultaneously work or can access the power and the privileges and the permission from that network operating system. So that's how the virtual machine concept goes. We'll discuss more about the VMs, but this is the basic information which we should have in our mind. Then come the type of servers. So there's server like database server, web and plus application server, and the web server. So if I only want to deploy my application on the web server like Apache Tomcat, BA WebLogic server, JBoss server, which are being provided by the cloud service providers under the category of platform as a service, then I use a web server. But if I want to write an application, edit an application, deploy an application, I also want my users to access my application from the remote location, then I go for the web plus application server. Or if I just want to access the database content, I just want to create the database content, then I can use a database server like Oracle or Sybase or DB2 or Informix. Multiple number of database servers are available. So I choose the second one, the web plus application server. Then they ask me what is the server configuration you would like to have. Now this is the barest minimum. One virtual machine with one virtual CPU with 1 GB of RAM and 70 GB of the storage areas. Now if I click on this list box, it just pops up many more options for me. Now I can increase my server configuration and I can go from one virtual machine to 8 virtual CPU to 16 GB of RAM to 70 GB of storage space, or maybe right up to the 16 virtual CPUs, 64 GB RAMs, and 70 GB of the storage areas. Now it depends upon what kind of application I've got. If I got an application that consumes a lot of memory and it requires a lot of storage area, then I need to go for the high-end configuration. For example, if you're doing any project on AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and you got a lot of data at your disposal, your data set size is very, very high, very big, then yes, you require the servers with hi-fi configuration. But if you're working on a small application, then you don't require to incur such a high cost. Because the moment you start switching over from one virtual machine to one virtual CPU, then cost will proportionately go up. So let's choose a very one simplest configuration, one virtual machine with one virtual CPU, 1 GB of RAM and 70 GB of the storage. Then they prompt me what is the operating system I want, the platform. So by default, they're only providing the CentOS operating system, which is a Linux based. So I have to choose this. Then they provide me the environment, what kind of environment I'm looking for. Since I've chosen the environment as Web Plus application, so they are giving me the environment as production environment, right? So this is the parameters values I have set so that I can ask the NIC to provide me these cloud services over their cloud server. And accordingly, they will start charging money from me. So I go to the last option called calculate push button and I click it over and they provide me the cost saying that they are going to charge me 2,150 rupees per month because these are approximate charges. So roughly it comes around 25,000 rupees per annum. That is the amount of the cost I have to pay for using a cloud-based services from the cloud service providers, the NIC. And I don't have to set up anything at my own end. I will just design an application, write a code, and I carry out the deployment on the NIC servers once I have received the Safe to Host certificate for my application. And who will provide the Safe to Host certificate? The STQC is there in India, Software Testing Quality Control, or the CDAC, or TCS, or Infosys. They're all the NIC impaneled vendors which do testing of the applications which before they being given the Safe to Host certificate, and then I can take the certificate to my cloud service provider and then they will host my application. Now what will be the validity period, how long the STH will survive, Safe to Host? This is maximum period is 6 months to 1 year, but moment you modify a code, again you need to go for the revalidation, again you need to go for the recertification. So maximum duration is 1 year, and many of the cloud service providers say even 6 months, not beyond that. Or even if you are modifying a code, your Java code or C++ code or C#.NET code, then you have to go for the revalidation, the reassessment, and the recertification again by going to these cloud service providers, impaneled vendors, and then they will again issue a Safe to Host certificate, and then you carry out the redeployment of an application. So that's how the NIC works. And once I've calculated the cost, what I can do next, I go for the registration of for the NIC. So I say NIC Cloud Registration Services. So it's called an onboarding procedure, wherein you will be given the choice of doing a registration for accessing the web services from the NIC. You provide your department name, your contact person name, the designation, the email ID, and the phone number. And there are forms available here. So if you are next year when you're going to graduate and going to the industry, and maybe in a cloud company if you are working, and you need to access the cloud services for your product, then these are the forms you need to download them, fill them up, and give it to the NIC so that the NIC can provide you the cloud-based services. Even if you plan to do your next semester dissertation project in cloud computing environment, and once you have written your Java or C++ or C#.NET code, and then you need to carry out deployment on the real-time servers at the NIC, then you need to download these forms, fill them up, get them forwarded from the dean of the USICT, uh, and then submit it to the NIC so that they can carry out the deployment of your application on the servers as such. So we need to follow the guidelines which have been specified here, and these are the various content they provide: the computing services, the additional item, and the container services. Now one of the very exciting thing, if you want to access more here, when you click on the web server, they will give you more information about the web server which are available here. But for that you need to require a registration, otherwise they may not show you. But its initial idea, you can still get what all the services provided by the NIC. So web server, pre-configured web server for hosting the website being provided by the NIC, Linux web server, Linux web server, Linux web server, Windows web servers, then application server which they provide Linux application server, Windows web server, Web Plus application server they provide is a web application server. In it we have got a Red Hat Enterprise Linux Edition, the Java 14 code, Apache Tomcat servers, then Linux web application servers, web application server, and web server. If you're writing your code in the ASP.NET and the ADO.NET, then you need to go for this Windows server, the IS server, Internet Information Server, which understand what the ActiveX server pages are, ASP pages, so that the ASP pages can be deployed on the IS server. On the same way, they have got the database server like the Linux database server, MariaDB, Linux database server, Ubuntu, and then Windows database server. So multiple options are being provided by the NIC cloud service providers, and you can plan to host your platform as a service and the infrastructure as a service application on this environment. And this is the basic server, which anyway is not much use. What we are more concerned is the information about the primary servers here, the web server, the application servers, and the database servers. So this is all the information being provided by the NIC, and they're very useful. They are provided very cheap, and this is the cheapest app cost, what we say, services being provided by the NIC. Other vendors, they charge much more what the NIC does, but this is initiated by Government of India, so accordingly they are in a better position to give the subsidy or providing a service at a reduced cost. Then there is another very good initiative by CCICI. It's called Cloud Computing Innovation Council of India. So if you go to this portal, this is by far the better portal in terms of academics and research, because they are not much into the commercial operations. NIC is purely into the commercial operations, but here they are providing large number of content, large number of data as a part of the freewares to the students, to the academic community, to the research community as such, right? So here we can look at the initiative like task force, working groups, cloud study. They have done outreach events, CCICI events, publication. They have come out in white papers, the newsletter, the blog. Then they have got a membership, which can be a lifetime membership if you are interested in a cloud computing domain for a larger part of your professional career. Then you can take a membership, and there are multiple type of membership available here. So just click it over, and then you will come to know about the categories of the membership available: life membership, then mid-size membership, large enterprise editions, education institutions, and then education institutions which are more than 10-year old and which are less than 10-year old. So a person can go as a individual membership or as an institutional membership. For the individual membership, you can click it over and register for it, and for the institutional membership, these are the rates. So nothing comes free in the cloud world. Cloud world by and large is very paid, and you have to shell out the money to get the cloud services. Same way membership also, they don't offer free of cost, whereas they can come, that depends upon the organization, their role model, but revenue model rather. But right now there everything is chargeable. Now initiative, if you go to the initiative, go to the task forces, and they will come to know about what are the various task forces that have set up by the Cloud Computing Innovation Council of India. So like cloud interoperability test bed, then multi-vendor cloud service network, e-governance, reference architecture, digital locker, Meghraj cloud, which is with the help of the NIC. So they've set up the task forces for the providing better cloud services to the individuals as well as to the corporates. They've also set up a IoT based task group, what we call IoT for smart cities. So once you can, if you are interested, you can take a membership of these organization, and then you can associate yourself with the task forces being constituted by them. So they become very useful in providing you the latest knowledge of whatever is happening real time in industry. You can immediately get updated with the real time content. And then if you're interested in getting to know more about them, you can go to the contact us, and then you will come to know about their contact phone numbers, the mail IDs, and the addresses where the Cloud Computing Innovation Council of India is based in. And you can connect them on the social networking platform like Facebook and Twitter. So they're very useful, and since I am a member of it, so I can definitely assure you the kind of services they provide are very good. They keep you updated, they keep you informed of all the regular and periodical updation in the which happen in the cloud computing world.